Hey everyone, just want to share a quick little insight from my City General Conference. I was listening to the April 1931 General Conference, and Heber J. Grant was opening up General Conference. And in typical Heber J. Grant fashion, he touches I swear 9 to 10 different topics in every single time he opens up a General Conference. And the one that really stood out to me was he talked about the word of wisdom near the end of his talk. And he goes, I don't have the time. I don't have the time because what I want to do is I want to read an entire section of the Doctrine and Covenants. And I'm like, oh yeah, he'd read section 89. He's talking about the word of wisdom. No, he wanted to quote section, I think it was 56 of the Doctrine and Covenants. And he goes, a lot of people say they don't need to live the word of wisdom because the word of wisdom says that it's the will of the Lord, not a commandment of the Lord. Therefore, they're excused from having to live it. And I'm like, yep, I've heard that. I have friends who are like, yeah, it's kind of like one of the great commandments. Like, don't break it often, but it's okay to kind of go over the line. And like, I've had friends talk about having, a sip of alcohol or a sip of coffee or things like that. Just as long as it's not a thing you do often, it's okay to do it a little bit. I was like, and Heber J. Grant's addressing this idea that we can be lax with it. And he goes, section 56 should clarify this for any Latter-day Saint. And section 56, he quotes where it talks about the fact that we are told that we don't need to be commanded in all things and that we should seek to do the will of the Lord. And he goes, that alone should be sufficient for every Latter-day Saint, knowing that we should not be commanded in all things and that we should just simply seek his will and do it, to realize the word of wisdom is his will and do it. He goes, but furthermore, that same section talks about the fact that woe unto those who do receive a commandment with a slothful heart and are not wise and diligent in keeping it. And he's like, this section should make every Latter-day Saint diligent in keeping the word of wisdom. And I apologize, I probably paraphrased those a little bit wrong, but that's the gist of his message. He's like, if you understand the Doctrine and Covenants and the section that tells us not be commanded in all things and that we should seek diligently to observe the commandments and not be slothful and not take it lightly, anyone will look at the word of wisdom and say, whether it is commandment, whether it is advice, it's the will of the Lord, I'm going to follow it, and I'm going to follow it to the best of my ability, and I'm not going to flirt with the line. And I thought that was super impactful, especially because this week I'm also reading section 89 because it's Come Follow Me this week. And so I just thought that was a really cool insight where the prophet Heber J. Grant and his words lined up with my current study of the scriptures as well. So y'all have a good one.